surrounded by other Chinese hardliners, a show of party unity. But the U.S. State Department will not speculate on the possible meaning.
We think that it's a very clouded situation and that we aren't in a position to judge at this time who is in charge of what. And to be perfectly honest for you, it seems to me that that would be something the Chinese should be telling us versus us trying to sit back here and guess.
In Beijing today, troops arrested students accused of fueling the protests, and tanks surrounded the universities. But this show of force did not stop pro-democracy demonstrators in Shanghai, where 50,000 lifted their voices in the name of freedom. The first official Soviet response to the crisis in China came today. A foreign ministry spokesman said Soviet authorities were surprised by the brutality of the crackdown and extremely dismayed.
Some perspective on all of this with News 7's China expert, Professor James Thompson of Boston University. Jim, the pictures of Deng Xiaoping today, clearly the message from the Chinese hardliners there is that things are under control. There are central leaders, a central authority, but really the genie's out of the bottle here, isn't it?
The genie is out of the bottle. The old guard is regathering. Operation Crackdown, Operation Cover-Up. The thing never happened. I was fascinated with this bit of news that the Soviets are admitting that something bad happened. They are dismayed. No, China will never be the same. We're in a period of grief, enormous courage, and darkness in China. Now the question, genie out of bottle, is whether this darkness precedes a long night or whether it's the darkness before dawn.
Would you care to speculate on that?
I won't care to speculate, but I would say that there's a lot of reason to believe that it may be a darkness before dawn. The dawn could be months ahead, but no country that is as well informed about the truth of the atrocities of the past few days can tolerate a government that will not admit its error and at least shift around some people. Too many people in China know exactly what happened, and their sources of information are legion around the world and within China.
Is there the possibility of massive purges, as we have seen in Chinese history in the past?
Oh, there's the possibility of a lot of ugly violence, rounding up of students and alleged leaders, but the wider population, the urban part of China, not just intellectuals and shopkeepers, but workers, they know what's happened. Their sons and daughters and kinsmen were killed, were slaughtered. The PLA, which has been the most beloved army in the world, People's Liberation Army has done something unknown in its 40-year history. There is anger. If they can put a lid on, it will be on a sullen discontent that won't work. In other words, it won't keep the lid on. This thing is going to have to change. And we just have to have patience and prayer and a lot of good rhetoric supporting the courage of those kids who died and the people who grieve with them and are carrying on the revolution both in China and outside.
Thank you, Jim Thompson of Boston University. Also today, a national postcard writing campaign is underway to break off diplomatic ties with the People's Republic. Here in Boston, pedestrians on Charles Street earlier today were handed postcards. The word Beijing, written in blood red, is meant to remind Americans to support the Chinese fight for democracy. A local postcard company is sponsoring that Boston campaign. Kate?